Hey there, fellow soil enthusiasts. If you've been gardening for any length of time, you've probably heard people talk about compost like it's black gold, and they're right, but here's something most gardeners don't realize. There's compost, and then there's humus-rich compost. Today, I'm going to share some advanced techniques that'll take your composting game to the next level and give your soil the ultimate upgrade it's been craving. Let's get one thing straight right from the start. Humus isn't just dark, crumbly compost, it's the final stage of organic matter decomposition, the most stable form of organic material in your soil. Think of regular compost as your soil's fast food, quick energy that gets used up relatively fast. Humus is the gourmet meal that keeps on giving, sometimes lasting decades in your soil while continuously improving its structure and fertility. When organic matter fully breaks down into humus, it creates these incredible molecules called humic substances. These are the real MVPs of your garden. They hold on to nutrients like a sponge holds water, preventing them from washing away with every rain. They also improve soil structure by binding tiny soil particles into larger aggregates, creating those beautiful air pockets that roots absolutely love. Now, I know what you're thinking. Everything you've read probably tells you to hot compost. Get that pile cooking at 140 degrees Fahrenheit and you'll have finished compost in weeks. That's true, and hot composting has its place, especially for killing weed seeds and pathogens. But here's the secret that experienced gardeners know. Cold composting produces far superior humus. When you cold compost, you're letting nature work at her own pace. The process takes 6 months to a year, but during that slower decomposition, a much more diverse community of microorganisms gets to work. Fungi in particular thrive in cooler conditions, and these fungal networks are absolute champions at breaking down tough lignin and cellulose into stable humus compounds. To start a cold compost pile focused on humus production, layer your materials more thoughtfully than you might for hot composting. Add brown materials like dried leaves, straw, and woody prunings in slightly higher ratios. Think 2 parts brown to 1 part green, rather than the typical balanced ratio. This higher carbon content gives those fungi the food they love and results in more stable humus formation. Turn the pile gently every few weeks to introduce oxygen without raising temperatures too much and keep it consistently moist like a wrung-out sponge. Want to accelerate humus formation while adding incredible biological diversity? Welcome to the world of vermicomposting. Red wiggler worms are essentially living compost factories that produce some of the most humus-rich material you can add to your garden. Worm castings aren't just broken down organic matter, they're pre-digested, microbially inoculated plant food wrapped in humic acids. As organic material passes through a worm's gut, it gets coated with beneficial bacteria and enzymes that continue breaking down materials even after they've been deposited. This creates a particularly stable form of humus that's immediately available to plant roots. You can integrate worms into your existing compost system by adding a worm tower directly into your garden beds. Bury a perforated 5-gallon bucket with drainage holes into your bed, add bedding and worms, then feed them kitchen scraps regularly. The worms will process the materials and migrate into the surrounding soil, distributing humus and beneficial microbes throughout your growing area. This is honestly one of the most effective ways to build humus right where your plants need it most. Here's where we get into some really exciting territory. Biochar is essentially charcoal made from organic materials through a low-oxygen burning process called pyrolysis. Ancient Amazonian farmers created incredibly fertile soils called terra preta by incorporating charcoal into their gardens, and these soils are still more fertile than surrounding areas 500 years later. Biochar works synergistically with humus in ways that'll blow your mind. Its incredibly porous structure provides homes for billions of beneficial microorganisms while also attracting and holding on to humic substances. When you add biochar to your compost, you're creating a habitat where humus formation happens more rapidly and the resulting humus becomes more stable in your soil. To use biochar effectively, you need to charge it first. Never add raw biochar directly to your garden. Mix it into your compost pile at about 10% by volume, or soak it in compost tea or liquid fertilizer for a few weeks before use. This charges the pores with nutrients and beneficial microbes, preventing the biochar from initially drawing nutrients away from your plants. Once charged and mixed with humus-rich compost, biochar becomes a permanent soil amendment that continues improving your soil for years. Most gardeners focus on bacterial composting because it's faster and easier, but if you want truly exceptional humus formation, you need to cultivate fungal dominance in your compost. Fungi are the master decomposers of woody materials and are primarily responsible for creating the stable humic compounds we're after. To encourage fungal growth, you'll want to incorporate more woody materials into your compost. Shredded branches, wood chips, sawdust from untreated wood, and even cardboard all feed those fungal networks. It's best to keep your pile on the drier side. Fungi really prefer moisture levels around 40 to 60%, while bacteria tend to thrive in wetter conditions. And you can also inoculate your pile with beneficial fungi by adding a shovel full of healthy forest soil or aged wood chips from under established trees. Creating a static pile, instead of turning it frequently, also favors fungi. Those beautiful white threads you might spot running through aged compost, that's mycelium, and it's actually busy creating long-chain carbon compounds that become stable humus. If you let these fungal highways develop undisturbed, you'll see dramatically better humus formation, for sure. The ultimate goal isn't just making humus-rich compost, it's integrating it into your soil in ways that build long-term fertility. Rather than tilling compost into your beds, consider top-dressing with a 2 to 3 inch layer and letting soil organisms gradually incorporate it. This no-till approach preserves the fungal networks and soil structure you've worked so hard to create. Apply your humus-rich compost in fall when possible. This gives soil organisms months to work it into the soil profile before spring planting, and you'll be amazed at the difference in your soil structure when growing season arrives. Your soil will hold moisture better, drain more efficiently, and support healthier, more resilient plants that can better resist pests and diseases. Remember, building truly exceptional soil is a marathon, not a sprint. These advanced composting techniques require patience, but the rewards are gardens that become more productive and easier to manage year after year. That's the real humus advantage. Not just better soil for this season, but soil that continues improving for decades to come. If you found these techniques helpful, subscribe to Grow with Soil for more in-depth gardening strategies that actually work. Share this with your gardening friends who are ready to take their soil to the next level. Let's grow something amazing together.